Adam Silver is one of the best sports commissioners all over the world. As the NBA commissioner, he has so much influence in the sport. As a result, players, fans, managers, and even team owners all have reasons to be scared of Silver. Yet, even the most powerful man and prominent figure in the NBA, Adam Silver, has his own fears. His administration also faced tough challenges from China. Let's uncover why Adam Silver is scared of China.
Some number of years ago, we had discussions with the Chinese Basketball Association, which of course is now led by Yao Ming, about potentially partnering on a league. That's nothing we've talked about all that much in the last few years.
The NBA and China. China and the NBA have a long and often complicated relationship. Since David Stern became commissioner back in the 80s, the NBA established its partnership with China as the mainstay of its league's expansion strategy. It only made sense to join forces with the most populous country in the world, a country that now has more basketball fans with its 1.4 billion residents than the United States has with its population of 330 million people. Over the years, this partnership put the NBA far ahead of its rivals in terms of audience, revenue, innovation, and virtually every other area. TV deals, collaboration with the Chinese Basketball Association, annual preseason games, and players like Yao Ming being drafted into the league have all helped the NBA to capture the heart of the Chinese audience. Currently, basketball is the most popular sport among young people in China, and as expected, the NBA is at the top of its league in terms of popularity. Both past and current players have become idols to many people in the country.
We found over the last few days that some of the most passionate fans in all of China are here in the Guangdong province and in Shenzhen, and the hospitality has been fantastic.
Partnerships. The NBA's two biggest partners in China are the tech companies Alibaba and Tencent. The Alibaba deal gave the NBA access to over 700 million Chinese customers on Alibaba's networks, Tmall, Taobao, and Youku. Alibaba co-founder Joe Tsai is even an owner of the Brooklyn Nets. Tencent had been the official digital partner of the NBA in China since 2015. The deal covered live game broadcast and additional video content on Tencent's list of sites and apps. At the time of the new deal, worth over $1.5 billion in 5 years, Tencent had promised to help the NBA expand its fan base in China and provide the league's global fan base with new, customized, interactive services. On Tencent alone, 500,000 Chinese fans watched NBA games, and partnerships within the country have made NBA players global brands and household names. The NBA has over 200 employees maintaining its business with the Chinese. The association has offices in Shanghai, Taiwan, Beijing, and Hong Kong. Since 2004, the NBA has played more than 28 games in China, and every year, star players travel to the country for promotional tours. Shoe sales have also been a major revenue stream for manufacturers. The association even signed a content deal with ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok in China. The NBA is that big in China, yet things are much deeper than they appear at the surface. China represents one of the biggest external revenue streams of the NBA. That comes with a lot of pros and cons. 10% of the NBA's revenue comes from China, and this is crucial to the association's growth. The pros for the NBA are obvious: money, cash, billions of dollars. However, things get much more complex at the other end, and this is why Adam Silver is scared of China.
In terms of the future of our relationship with China, meaning the NBA's, of course, it's hard to divorce what's happening with the NBA from larger geopolitical issues.
The Daryl Morey tweet. Daryl Morey was the general manager for the Houston Rockets for about 13 years. Before his resignation in 2020, Daryl was the first general manager with a non-traditional basketball background for an NBA team. He was also named the NBA Executive of the Year in 2018. During his tenure, the Rockets advanced to the playoffs 9 times and did not have a losing record. But what people are likely to remember the most about him is his Twitter comment about Hong Kong. On October 4th, 2019, Daryl Morey tweeted in support of the ongoing Hong Kong protest, where over 1,000 protesters had been injured in a standoff with the police. He shared an image supporting the pro-democracy protesters with the caption, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong." Although he deleted the tweet shortly after, it would go on to cause lasting damage between the NBA and China. At the time of his tweet, Morey was in Tokyo with the Rockets for the NBA's Japan games. Many people, including Rockets owner Tillman, who insisted that the Rockets were not a political organization, criticized Mori. Despite having a particularly close relationship with the Rockets stemming from Yao Ming's days with the team, China didn't hesitate to suspend the Chinese Basketball Association's relationship with the Rockets and issue a statement of dissatisfaction from the Consular Office of the People's Republic of China, PCR, in Houston. LeBron James also criticized Mori's comments, but immediately received a backlash from fans in the United States.
So I'd hate to see this relationship, basketball in China and then the NBA in China, end over this incident. But we're all resetting right now, so it's too early to say whether we're going to have games there in the future.
On the outs. Here is a little backstory on some international relations and politics to help you understand the context of Mori's tweet. Hong Kong was formerly a British territory. It was only given back to China in 1997 after 150 years. Despite being returned to China, it continued to be independent in many legal issues. Hong Kong favors democracy while China operates under the Communist Party. As you would expect, the difference in values has caused political unrest and acts of violence. Now, you can imagine better the waters that Mori's tweet stirred. The Chinese government was so riled by the tweet that it didn't mind terminating decades worth of efforts with the NBA. The tweet has stirred up a conflict that cut across not just the sport but domestic politics, corporate affairs, and international relations. Mori attempted to clarify his tweet in his apology, stating that his tweet was only in response to a new law in Hong Kong prohibiting protesters from wearing masks, and that he and his friends had discussed political autonomy in Hong Kong since attending MIT Sloan. He continued that he never planned for his tweet to cause any offense. The NBA also issued a statement in what looked like an apology, saying that the anger from the Chinese mainland was regrettable, and Mori had deeply offended many friends and fans in China. Still, the NBA's business partners in China were not pleased. Houston Rockets items were removed from the Tmall sites, and Tencent stopped its broadcast of NBA games. China's state-run television network CCTV canceled its broadcast of the preseason games between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Nets, as well as other related league events in the wake of Mori's tweet. Anta suspended its sneaker deal with the NBA as well, and NBA Cares community events in Shanghai were canceled. Silver described the change as fairly dramatic and estimated that the NBA lost a whopping $400 million in combined revenue from sponsorships and streaming because of Mori's tweet. On the other hand, American politicians and critics expressed their distaste for the leagues dealing with an authoritarian government. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas even accused the NBA of adopting a repressive regime just to increase its bottom line. In fact, a bipartisan letter by Ted Cruz and several other lawmakers aggressively criticized the NBA's approach toward the controversy. The lawmakers addressed the NBA's response, saying that it sold out an American citizen and betrayed the fundamental American values. Even former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence said the NBA was acting like a wholly owned subsidiary of China. Commissioner Adam Silver went further to clarify the league's stance, saying that the league will not put itself in a position of regulating what players, employees, and team owners say or will not say on such issues. We simply could not operate that way, Silver continued. According to Silver, there were calls for him to fire Mori, but he didn't budge. He defended the NBA's stance, stating that Mori had the freedom of expression, also saying that mainland China had the right to reply as well. Looks like Silver was trying to find some middle ground. What a way to sit on the fence there.
We regretted upsetting our fans, that also at the same time supporting Daryl Morey's right to express himself, right to tweet. Obviously, we made clear that
after the tweet. Not long after the fallout, the COVID-19 pandemic struck and many things were put on hold. However, since the tweet, Silver and China have slowly tried to get things going again. The Rockets returned to the Chinese screens in January after Mori's exit from the team, although Philadelphia 76ers became blacklisted from broadcast on Tencent as Mori's new employers. In an interview earlier this year, Silver said, "We continue to televise our games in China. Our most significant television partner is Tencent, which is a streaming service in China, and we have hundreds of millions of fans in China who we continue to serve. I'll take a step back there and restate the NBA's mission, which is to improve people's lives through the game of basketball. And we think exporting NBA basketball to China and to virtually every country in the world continues to fit within our mission. The political science major in me believes that engagement is better than isolation, that a so-called boycott of China taking into account legitimate criticisms of the Chinese system won't further the agenda of those who seek to bring about global change. Working with the Chinese solely on NBA basketball has been a net plus for building relationships between two superpowers. When asked whether basketball will help China make some changes in its approach to human rights, Silver said, "I don't want to overstate it. While I'm a believer in soft power, I'm certainly not sitting here claiming that by virtue of televising NBA games in China, lo and behold, there'll be a reckoning in China to adopt a Western point of view about human rights. I do think that in order to bring about realistic change, we have to build relationships. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. And while there are many differences between our society and Chinese society, there are enormous commonalities as well. One of them is to love a sport, and basketball happens to be the most popular team sport in China right now. We think that through that common love and appreciation of the game of basketball, that's a way to bring people together. It's as simple as that." Looks like Silver and China might be finding a way to work together. A way that wouldn't involve stepping on toes. Is that possible? Maybe. We'll know within the next few months to years. Silver has described the league's relationship with China as complicated, saying, "Of course it's complicated. At the end of the day, we're a US company, and we're going to follow, American policy towards China. And whether it was the Trump administration, the Biden administration, at least so far, they've still been encouraging trade. And ultimately, we're an export business. We export American basketball to China, and I would say what comes with it is American culture as well."
The values of the NBA, these American values, we are an American business, travel with us wherever we go. And one of those values is free expression.
Power of the dollar. There have been speculations that the NBA has more economic leverage over its Chinese partner, but the exact opposite seems to be the case. Adam Silver's fear over several ties with China suggests that the association may have a lot to lose in a prolonged deadlock with China. Team executives also see China as vital to the NBA's future. With both the present and the future of the NBA hanging in the balance, Commissioner Silver also would need to address the association's fears sooner than later. The league's global revenue is around $10 billion, only behind Major League Basketball and the NFL. Conflict of interest with China could put a significant part of the revenue in jeopardy. NBA China itself is worth over $5 billion, although there are plans to turn towards emerging markets in India and Africa in the event of an irreconcilable fallout with China. Those projects are much more challenging. Adam Silver, of all people, wouldn't be looking to cause more trouble, as the NBA is already a bit too reliant on China for its financial momentum.
And essentially, what I've said in that statement is the long-held values of the NBA are to support freedom of expression.
Silver could fix things. The NBA has become more political, and Silver has guided the league through difficult times before. It's up to him to balance the reputation of the NBA while protecting its finances. He would want to avoid any geopolitical crisis.